Yossi, welcome.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
You as well.
Take me back before Get a Car, and we can get into that in a moment, but how did you get involved in automotive in the first place?
So take me back. I could take you very far back.
Your dad, the dealership, what's that like?
Yeah, it was family business growing up, and I felt don't know why I felt this way, but I sort of felt indebted, having to help the family business and be there. Just symptom of being an immigrant family.
A little guilt.
Yeah, you feel like you have to just help. And so I had no interest in being in this business. I'm not a car guy by any means.
Right.
Cars to me are nuts and bolts, or a line on a balance sheet. Or literally, it's like I never had that interest, but I did have an interest in business. I felt like I could connect with people very well. Little did I know that would serve me well in the car business. And that's it. So, as a teen, I would, I'd be in high school. I would leave school, go to the dealership. It was
This is your dad's lot now.
Yeah, and I'd go to like a late afternoon auction together, it was an experience, Friends, think about it, you're in high school, people leave high school maybe to go do like homework or maybe go like
Flip hamburgers.
Yeah, like play basketball or something, whatever, like something. I would, if I didn't have homework, I would just go to work. So that was really my exposure. That's at least what got me exposed to the industry as a teen and got me kind of kick-started on that path.
Give us a sense of scale of your dad's lot. What was the name of your dad's lot?
It was called Danny's Auto after his name, so super creative.
Right.
Wink. No, but small used car lot, like nothing fancy, there wasn't even an office.
30 cars or something.
Yeah, it was like very small, like just to kind of make ends meet.
Did he do well with it? Like, was he good at it?
It was, so initially it was very, like, super small operation. Then we started scaling it. And it became a staple in the Philadelphia region. And what I mean by that was you got to a point, there was like a very intense 5 years where we pushed the gas pedal all the way
And
down.
how old are you at this time?
At this point, I am late teens, entering college. And we started just looking at things differently. My dad was really great at like the fundamentals of business, right?
Sure.
Buy low, sell high, right? Really
Right.
shrewd, old school operator. I brought in that like new school thinking. And one of the first things I did was ask myself, how do we differentiate in this industry, right? Like everyone sells cars, more or less the same shit. Obviously every car is a little bit different, but how do we really differentiate? And so the step function change was when I went to dinner one night with two friends. We were at this like really like dim lit restaurant in the city, eating, drinking, talking. And I asked my buddies, I said, what can I do differently that will really bring attention to this, to our operation? Because our inventory is getting better. We have more volume. We're getting bigger. We should be getting exposure. We actually recondition our cars really well. Like we reinvest. And one of my friends looked at me, he said, and he was working in retail. And he said, what if you give gifts to customers, like novel gifts? And then I just started thinking, I said, And so the next day I called up one of his suppliers from North Jersey. And this guy is an electronics supplier. He works with like Walmart and stuff. And I said, what do you have on closeout? And by the way, I didn't even know what closeout meant. I learned the day before, but closeout was when these suppliers have all this shit that they're not selling and they need to get rid of it. And he's like, oh, I got a ton of shit for you. And so I bought 2 pallets of electronics.
Like VCRs or something? Or
No, dude, like microwaves, like PlayStations, toaster ovens, like crazy stuff, like random. I didn't even care. Headphones. I bought 2 pallets.
Like a mystery box. Like
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Okay.
For like 5 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And it showed up to the dealership 2 weeks later. We had these 2 massive pallets in our service drives, which, by the way, was a stupid idea because it blocked it. Well, that's a whole different story. So I was like, okay, great. And then the next day, and I'm getting to the punchline, I took the entire team, salespeople, everyone, and I put them all together. I said, guys, listen. I was like, we're gonna do something different. You see all these things? We are gonna take a gift for every customer that buys a car, a random gift. We're gonna put it in the trunk. We're gonna pop the trunk. Everyone's gonna clap and sing, pop that trunk, pop that trunk, pop that trunk. And after like 5 times, we're gonna open the trunk and they're gonna get a random gift. And dude, when I tell you, first of all, the team looked at me like they were like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, right.
They're like, you're nuts. like this is so dumb, and like, you know, some were like shy. I was like, guys, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And so we started doing it, and customers were like in heaven. I mean, when I tell you, some customers,
Like a game show.
people were freaking out. I was like, Pop, that's wrong. Like we had like 20 people, and people were like, oh my god, and they're getting like, you know, like a random like a Hamilton Bay like toaster oven. And so here's the insight, right? It was novel, number one.
Yep.
You didn't know what you were gonna get. There was mystery. And then there was also just the feeling of being cared about, right? You as a like the whole dealership stopped. I don't care if it was 10 times a day, no exceptions.
Yeah.
Everyone stopped and went outside. I don't care if you were, you know, F&I, like I don't care. You all went outside and you all sang, danced, clapped, and customers would like literally cry. So the point I'm trying to make is, and the point I'm trying to make is here's that we would videotape that, we would put it on social.
What year is this now?
Mid 2010s, probably like 16, 17.
Okay.
Changed our business. Step function change. And this guy's a witness right there in the blue blazer. He could literally, and so is he. They could literally attest to this because they're from the Philly market. But within like 90 days, we had people flooding the lot. We literally didn't have the inventory to sell. Okay, so why? Because we offered an experience that was different, that was unique, that showed the customer that we cared. It was just something novel. Our product wasn't any different. Our financing wasn't any different, but we offered a really emotional experience.
That's cool.
And it just branded the business. So anyways, that really took the business to the next level, and we built on top of that. We started hiring more, we got more inventory, we built out a nice fancy office. I mean, everything rolled downhill, but it all started from that one insight, which was how can we be different by delivering a better experience?
What was your reaction from your dad being old school and you doing this thing? How did that?
My dad is he's very practical, rational.
This is silly, Yossi. What are you doing?
No, he's seen me try enough things that were kind of fringe and work, and so he doesn't like. My dad is definitely like a believer in anything like that. Like
I'm sure he supports you, and
but you know he's like kind of cautiously optimistic. He's like, okay, let's see. But here's the thing: like as soon as he sees a little signal that like it works, he's all in.
Yeah.
So then it's like you got to a point where
can we get more pallets?
Yeah, literally. It's like we'll get more pallets. No, usually we're out of electronics. I'm like, and he's like, why are they not doing Papa Truck? So it was funny because he was sort of more into it than I was at that point.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, we had like Snoop Dogg retweet videos of this. We didn't pay for this. We had like, I think like Pharrell, like they would just go viral.
And so at this moment, you're probably starting to realize the power of social too, right? In the back of your mind, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then you create Get a Car, right? And so how does that segue? You just rebrand the whole thing from Dana's to Get a Car? Like, how did that go?
I understood the power of the internet because, you know, overnight we were just flooded with demand. It's like every car dealer's dream to have, it's like COVID fever, like, you know, like you don't know what to do with the customers. And so I learned the power of the internet. And so fast forwarding, right? I'm always looking for the next thing. I can't sit still. It's a blessing and a curse.
Same.
And so I said, okay, why, if the internet is this powerful, why do I have to, if I want to grow the business, why do I have to be landlocked to like brick and mortar? Why can't I offer a superior experience and do it digitally online? And I didn't care about online. I cared about frictionless, quick, efficient,
experience,
low cost. Like that's what I cared about. I always used to say like, I could etch it in stone. We could use newspapers if that was a better medium to facilitate a car sale, which it's not. And so that was what I did. I decided that it was time to take the next leap, and I was convicted that, you know, car buying, at least a segment of the market, would be done faster through online auto retailing. And so I went all in. And I started creating a business plan, not in like the traditional sense, literally like a PowerPoint of like, you know, a pitch deck of like my vision for how we could grow the business 10x by retailing vehicles online. And that was my foray into Get a Car.
And how long did you do Get a Car? Is it all the way up until COVID, right?
Yeah, 2018 through 2023. You know, throughout that time period, we were retailing online.
How many cars are you selling a month at that point?
We were doing, I would say annually 3,000.
That's pretty great.
Used, yeah. So we're doing like
multi-million-dollar.
Yeah, it's like 80 to 90 million a year.
And this is way bigger than than your dad probably could ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
Dana's Auto Sales.
It's weird, right? Because, I think we had like a team of 200 when we were doing like
200 people.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So between obviously operations and corporate, and so I think the one part that my dad struggled with, which I do too, but I think it becomes more like unemotional in a way, because you're walking in like the reconditioning center, and you don't know everyone,
right?
And it's not that you can't know everyone. There's not that many people there, but there's naturally more people, a little bit more turnover.
Yeah, you have time, right? Like you're doing things as well, so you can't. Right.
I mean, yes. Like for me to be at the reconditioning center at that time was not a good use of my time.
Of course.
Because as a CEO, I was really focused on hiring and raising capital, and it was kind of annoying because I wanted to be more at the reconditioning center and where the operations, the pulse of the business, which I think is really important. But needless to say, it was just more unemotional, and you're growing quickly or hiring quickly, a lot more systematic and stuff like that. And by the way, the reason 200 employees is not like some crazy number, but
it's a good amount.
Well, at the rate that we were growing, remember, we were raising capital every 9 months. Mm-hmm. So to do that that quickly, you have to move very quickly, and the only way you can do that effectively is with good systems and processes.
100%.
That was what I was focused on. Who do I find to help build the right frameworks and systems so that we can scale this business?
And there's only so much you can do yourself. Did you have like a brother or anything to help out?
So I didn't have any co-founders, which sucked.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anyone I could really lean on.
Sure.
In a broad sense. I did have some great executives that I found through LinkedIn, just people from other.
Sure, wanted to help out.
Lifetime, Carvana.
Yeah, sure.
Vroom. I literally went to the companies where I believed, where I thought that they had talent, that
a decent business model.
Exactly. That scaled beyond what we have, and I said, hey, I have this idea. I think we can do it better for the northeastern part of the United States. Mm-hmm. Let's talk.
And how much is your dad? In the business at that time?
He was involved in ops, so he wasn't really in the strategic side at this point.
Right.
He was, and he's always been a confidant to me, right? So I've always called him and asked him for advice. By the way, he's given me a ton of advice with Car Dealership Guy. He'll give you real feedback.
Well, he loves you, I'm sure, so he wants to make sure.
Yeah, and he's very critical in a good way. So, for example, like we recently launched at Car Dealership Guy Bites, which is our short form, podcast. Really like daily 5-minute bites every day.
With Sam Dark.
Yeah. And by the way, like my dad was initially the first insight. Then I got another insight from a founder CEO of another company. But my dad initially was like, hey, he was like, love the long form. Don't always have time for an hour. He's like, give me a 5-minute update. I was like, he's got a point. And so we did that. So he's been a great confidant and just, gives very practical, rational. He doesn't have to know all the detail, but he can get a really good sense of the picture quickly and identify kind of the lever that could, help you create something better.
So you got Dana's, and you're in to get a car. You're doing 3,000 cars a year. And so what is the catalyst to go into the anonymous CDG, and how'd that start?
I mean, the catalyst was failure, right? So if you think about it,
it always?
They scaled so quickly, and it was, in hindsight, the best thing that happened to me. But we scaled so quickly, raising $50 million over like 38 months or something.
Wow.
I mean, in a very short period of time, each time tripling our valuation. We went from 25 million to 80 million to 210 million, I think, valuation third round.
Okay.
Mind you, we were essentially an auto retailer, but the catalyst was when the money got sucked out of the capital markets. When interest rates started rising, we needed more capital to grow. The capital wasn't available, so we needed to change the business model and get to cash flow positivity. And what we learned the hard way over 18 months was that our cost structure had ballooned so much and it was built for hyper growth. It was just not practical for us to get to cash flow positivity.
Yeah.
So we had to, work on multiple pivots, which didn't work out. And eventually, when it got to the end, I came to the realization. I said, look, we still have millions on the balance sheet, but I'm not going to go throw good money after bad. And I don't believe that we are best positioned in order to compete in this space. 5 years ago, the situation was different. Today, half the tech that we built, you can buy $1,000 a month SaaS software, number one. And then regardless, I just did not think we were best positioned anymore. I could have had $20 more million on balance sheet. It doesn't matter. We were not best positioned.
So I
Go ahead.
interrupt you for a second there.
Yeah.
This is a really deep internal moment probably for you to go, holy shit, I'm not going to be able to pull a rabbit out of a hat, but I'm going to need to make lemonade out of lemons. So what was that like internally for you?
It was hard. There's a lot of stress. The hardest part, if I had to stack rank it, was the team was extremely difficult because you're letting down a lot of people that you've recruited, plus all the people from Drive Time that we recruited all moved from Arizona to Philly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just them. I mean, everyone. You have a lot of responsibility. It was the investors who believed in you, who armed you with millions of dollars, which, I hate taking $1 from someone. And so let alone taking millions and not providing a return on their investment, it really wears on you. And then, of course, family. We were 5 people in the family in the business still. So everyone, having to rethink their livelihoods. Father, who of course I meant everything on the line. So it was just, there's no other word to put it. I mean, it was really difficult, but in hindsight, it was also the best thing. Everyone that I look at has evolved from there, has gone on to do great things. Literally every single person is everyone has done well. Yes. So it was an incredible learning experience for everyone. It was also just a personal, learning experience and just overcoming,
that's
challenges.
where most growth comes from pain. As much as you try to resist it, if you want something to grow, you go into the hardest thing. You're at that point, and then you set up an anonymous, identity. And so, what were those first couple of posts like? And then what was the one where you said, okay, Lee, I think I can do something with this?
So what happened was I had suddenly, my brain was starting to, I wasn't in the weeds anymore. I was kind of stepping out of the weeds and just, you're able to think about more things and try more things. And I was laying in bed one night and I saw this anonymous account on the real estate sector. And I said, I've just spent the last 4 years dealing with being on the front lines of building a fast growth auto retailer and dealing with large investors who are, some billionaires, super smart, who have really helped me see automotive from the lot attendant that picks up the trash on the lot all the way to the multi-billion-dollar hedge fund that's working with us to structure our business so that we can go public in 2.5 years. I had a really wide kind of exposure just to the business and insight. And I didn't consciously realize this, but when I started sharing insights for fun anonymously, because I didn't want to take any reputational risk at the time, it was really resonating. People were fascinated by it. I didn't think anything of it for about a year. I just kept sharing and I just was having fun. I was creating content. I was sharing insight. People were learning. I was building a community. I was gaining tons of followers. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was just having fun. 18 months after that, as I was preparing to step out from Get a Car, I said, there's something here. Product market fit, for anyone that has ever had the privilege of, discovering it as you have.
Thank you.
With your product, it's really difficult, right? To find something that the market actually needs and brings value, it's very rare. And when you kind of stumble upon that, you can't take that for granted.
Right.
And so I said, there's product market fit here. People want these insights. I didn't know how I would commercialize it, scale it, create better, but I just said there's something here. And again, I didn't even know what building a media company was. I was a used car retailer, then I was a tech-enabled entrepreneur, now media founder. It's all been very different. But for me, it was, let's continue growing this, this account
organically.
And that was really, and I'm happy to tell you about the transition to car dealership guy, but that was kind of the point where I took a very conscious decision that we're going to build the premier destination for automotive insight. I'm going to scratch my own itch.
Yeah.
Which was when I was a dealer that was growing, I didn't have anyone to teach me or show me how they do things. And I had to beg dealers to who are my competitors, because guess what? I would only meet them at the auction. So obviously they're local. I would have to really find the nooks and crannies and understand, how are you doing that? What's the best practice for that? I didn't have that resource. And so I said, there is an opportunity here. I think we can become the premier destination for automotive insights. And by the way, I use the word premier very intentionally because we don't want to be the largest. Largest to me is not the best.
Right.
I want to be the highest quality.
Yeah.
And that's what
Premium.
I say. Yes. I want to be the premium so that, you know, when you consume my content, when you consume a minute, an hour, whatever of my content, you come away with a learning. You really gain value.
Something.
And
Right.
that is extremely valuable.
Yep. No, that's really great. So you go from, going into this and you have that moment where you go, okay, I'm going to do this. What does your wife say to this at this point? Very supportive, or was she very...
No, she was incredibly supportive.
Good.
My wife was, she just sort of trusts me, and for better or worse,
Yeah, that's
she
great.
believed in it, and she just said, I don't know why. I mean, you know, it was pretty funny because I told her one day, I said, maybe we downsize a little bit, like just so that we can hedge, so that I can take this risk. But she saw the opportunity and she really believed in it.
Right.
And she believed in me mostly, and so she really pushed me for it. She's like, yeah, like if you think about it, she was like she was like a co-investor because to tweet all day early on and to create content, that comes at the expense of doing other things. And so someone needs to pick up the slack, and she did. And so she was incredibly supportive. And because of that, I was able to invest a, gargantuan amount of time in creating content early on, only myself, without any support.
Right.
There was no one else. It was only me. Truthfully, the first year, the reason we were able to scale and what differentiated me, in addition to the insight and content, was actually just the volume and the velocity and the consistency. Being able to put that stuff out daily, consistently, being literally glued to my phone 24/7. Very, very shitty lifestyle. It's just like starting anything. You gotta be all in. It's a baby, right? Into the first year, like it's all day, it's glued to you. And as you scale, right, you're more of a business, you can bring more resources to help you, but nonetheless, you gotta be there all day.
Consistency really always wins. I think there's a statistic where people that start podcasts, they only 90% do 20, and
True.
only 99 do 21.
Yep.
And then from
most
there,
people don't get through 20 episodes. Yeah.
begin to have that.
It's consistency, and it's also taking feedback and like really trying to understand and assess what does the market want. Because when I started, I did monologues, and the monologues were cool, they were hitting, but I also didn't have enough great content to only do monologues. And so then I said, how do I supplement? How do I solve for that? And my solution was, well, let me find other smart people that can bring me the good content. And so I started bringing on guests. And then what I realized was that one of the key learnings and skills that I had picked up while hiring 200 people in a very short period of time was assessing talent and asking the right questions.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a skill I had, but I did a lot of it at Get a Car, and that ported well to podcasting.
So when you're posting early on, are you writing these things out ahead of time, or is it more of a reaction that you're putting out? Like, how much thought did you put in? Because I think we can both agree a lot of dealers could do better on posting things to social, and we have kind of a just post it mentality, or I try to at least. But you get so fixated in like, did that get traction? Did this get traction? Am I getting likes on this? What can I say differently? Are you thinking? I'm sure you have to think about it a lot more now, but earlier on, were you just like going for it, or was it more calculated?
You have to really forgive yourself a lot. You can't be too hard on yourself, because I've tweeted like 20,000 times in the last 3 years. Like I've said some dumb stuff.
That's a lot. Just picture the math on that. Somebody do 365 times 12 or 12 times 2 divided by 20. That's a lot.
You say some dumb shit. You just do. Like, so you have to. You can't be too hard on yourself. You have to be forgiving, because you will make mistakes, and some days suck. Yeah. And when you make a mistake, you're glued to your phone because people are roasting you. It's the internet. You have hundreds of thousands of followers. I mean, it's scary, but you get used to it. I think over time, you get better at it.
That's funny you said roast. So I've seen you not hold back on certain things, and you put it out there, and I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe you said that. And it could be a brand, a thing, or whatever it is. Like, are you just like, with a if it bleeds, it leads kind of mentality?
No.
Or is it, how do you want that to come across?
Problem with if it bleeds, it leads, which is like a a journalism term for lead with like the doom and gloom.
The worst, yeah.
Because it gets attention. It does. So the problem with that strategy is that that is not a way to build a sticky, loyal following, right? Like that's a way to get, it's like a sugar rush.
It's a shot, yeah.
Yeah, you get like a short-term engagement boost, but that's not how you build a loyal following. You build a loyal following by putting out good content that helps people, that is actually educational. It's enriching.
I've seen that shift from you, especially in like the last 6 to 8 months or a year. It's just like,
Well, then you've noticed correctly, because we have, I would say early on, there was a lot more of if it bleeds, it leads. It's kind of like, you just got to get attention early on.
Sure.
But once you sort of have this baseline level of attention, you can change your strategy. And we did. The first 0 to 50,000 followers, I was very consumer focused.
Right.
Consumer tips and whatever, because that was the way to kind of wedge into the market and scale.
and you didn't have anyone like very popular to interview at that point, right? You're still getting,
I mean, I wasn't even creating audio content at that point. I was just written content. From 50 to 100,000 followers, I started tapping into like the investor community because there's a large investor community on social media, and they all want insights. They want, alpha. They want an edge in their investments. And so I realized that we could really scale well, or I can really scale. It's just me, but I could scale well by offering insights that benefit financial investors, such as how is the car business doing anecdotally in the ground floor, stuff like that. Beyond that, it got to a point where I started, mishmashing everything. I had some of this, some of that. We were kind of like, as Brett Morgan actually said this on the video that I did, where I kind of, who the fuck is car dealership guy?
Yeah,
He said, we were sort of like blending the consumer and industry side, which hadn't really been done before. Because I had this big thesis, which is like, you have to talk in a neutral tone in a way that everyone can understand and is relatable. So for example, I'll give you like a practical example.
Sure.
Let's just say I was posting about, this novel solution, Dealer Image Pro,
Okay.
which is helping dealers merchandise their vehicles better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually say that, what I just said.
Okay.
I would say, wow, I think that consumers are going to be buying cars every 3 years instead of every 6 years. Why do I think that? Because there's this solution now that is helping dealers merchandise their cars better. What does that mean? It means that dealers can actually create a better car buying experience. Like, I would relate everything to something so simple and big picture that anyone could understand.
makes sense.
And that was the way to kind of really scale the business and the followership.
Where did you learn that though? Is it
don't
something you just kind of like you over trial and error, or was it like, did you read up on good social engagement or anything? You just kind of
You just
felt it?
when you tweet thousands of times, like, I guess, they say like
muscle memory,
practice, right?
Yeah.
Like if you
getting
just
the reps in.
when you just A/B test so often, like you're constantly putting content out, and my brain at this point, it's like, it's so fried on the social media.
Yeah.
Because you can literally right now post something and get 1 million impressions, right? I don't want to do that because it's going to make me do or maybe write things in certain ways that I don't want to write in today. But the point is, like, the human brain, it's wild. As social media is a big psychology game, and the human brain and what gets people ticking is like, it's very simple. It's actually not that complicated, right? You want to get engagement, just go on right now, put a little bit of a controversial opinion, be very firm about it, don't be wishy-washy, like, you're gonna get engagement.
Yeah, that's, I guess, the word is slightly controversial enough to get people to engage and get the conversation started. That's
And relatable, right?
Relatable.
So like, the more relatable the content is, the more likely it is to resonate with the masses. But again, as you scale, like, our strategy today is a lot different than this, because we don't want to be relatable to the masses, frankly. We want to create the highest value content for the industry. And so we actually, this is going to sound counterintuitive, but one of our strategies is we actually, in some platforms, we want to lose followership.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that, like, I don't actually care if they stay, certain followers, but I don't want to gain maybe consumer followership on certain platforms. For example, the podcast. I don't care if consumers listen to it, because I am creating content for the industry. My content will be more niche because it's going to add value to the industry.
Right.
And I don't expect consumers that were listening since the beginning to tag along for that. And by the way, many do, because they find it fascinating still, but that is not my goal. That is not how I maximize value for the audience, for the business, frankly, for anybody. And it's also what's not interesting to me. where we offer, the asymmetrical, really unique insight is on the industry side, right? How many other platforms can you go to really get niche industry content? There's really not any that offer at
There's
our
some dated
velocity.
ones we won't mention, but
Yeah, and no one is offering at our velocity or our quality with our production value. Like, the point is, there just isn't. Now, on the other hand, for consumer insights, they're a dime a dozen. We don't want to play in that turf, right?
Okay.
We want to play in a turf where there's much higher barriers to entry, where we know we are one of one, and at the end of the day, our barometer of success is dealers, industry professionals, right? We want to be in every single one's pocket. Whether they listen to us, they read us, they watch us, we want to be in their pocket. Whether it's for 1 minute a day, 1 hour a day, we want to be that destination. And that's why we are building the premier destination for insights.
that makes sense. And I think you've carved that out for yourself really well. Today, we've seen this rise of a whole nother level of valuable dealer guest and insight information you've had. What's the strategy of CDG on the whole, and what's like on the horizon? What do you see next?
Undisputed, we have the largest, most engaged dealer audience of any media platform. And so, we're very proud of that. We don't take it for granted because we do have a significant amount of attention in the industry. That is only going to scale, and it's going to scale even faster. We are investing more and more money and resources into our content. We have a pretty large team now at this point that is just all in on the content and helping us create the best content out there. That's number one, right? Our content is only going to get better. There's going to be more of it. There's going to be more of the right content, and we're very excited about that. Continue leading that path. The second thing is we're very focused on solving problems for dealers on the product and service side. And so, one of the things that's interesting about having this large audience is dealers come to you with problems.
Right.
And, like, it was a real example that you actually personally benefited from and we worked together on was recruiting, right?
Yep.
Which you worked with our company, CDG Recruiting, but we basically find, talent in automotive, whether it's on the vendor partner side, dealer side, auto tech side. We have an audience of tens of thousands of industry professionals that are engaged. And we also have an audience of, thousands of people that need talent, right? Companies in automotive, dealerships, whatever, all that, they need talent. And so we're really focused now on how can we combine the products and services and leverage our distribution in order to bring more value to the industry. And I just think we have we have an embedded advantage in that sense, that we have, the distribution and of course the products and services as well, that we're going to continue helping dealers out and uplift the industry.
That's awesome. So you've been at this since 2022, 2023. What do you think the biggest impact that you've made as this persona has been? How has this changed your life personally, professionally? Because you're kind of famous now. You know what I mean? I mean, I know it sounds like you.
Yeah.
If somebody said that to me, I'd be like, no.
I know. But no, 2 years ago, I was professionally, I was at the lowest of the lowest, and so it's cool that it shows you how quickly things can change.
It's nice to be known.
Well, I think it's more nice that I'm doing something that's bringing value that people appreciate. Think about it. Every person that consumes my content, I'm essentially giving them something for free, right? And you're just giving all day. It's the power of media. You're giving people stuff all day.
Power of giving.
Yeah. And so when you meet them, it's a really cool position to be in when they're like, thank you. And it's I've never met you, but I've provided some value to you. And it's very fulfilling. But I think, I really believe that's, I don't take it for granted. I think it's a very unique position I'm in, that I'm able to, do that. It's a lot of responsibility, and I take it seriously because when we post something, it holds weight. We've posted something about public companies that the stock price moved as we posted it. It's very crazy, the power of the internet and who's lurking in your DMs. I mean, the people paying attention are, just big people to suddenly DMing you hey, I'm looking at this or that, or what do you think about this company? And you're like, wow, this person follows me.
I was going to ask you that, how do you get, I know Ernie Garcia was a little elusive for a little while, but the CEO of Group One, how are you getting these people? They're obviously DMing you at some point.
It's not because of me. I think it's because the platform works. They see it. These are smart people. They know that this is an excellent, brand awareness opportunity for them. They know that, put some out in front and center. It's where there's actual attention by the decision makers that they want to be in front of. They know that it's an excellent recruiting tool because,
Sure.
you talk about what you do and people want to come work for you. And it's also it's the destination. There isn't another destination that is bringing the type of guests that we're bringing at the volume that we're bringing and investing as much time, effort, resources into the content. And so I think these are smart people. I'd like to think that they're doing it because we're friendly, but it's probably not because of that. But it's working out really well.
The newsletter is great. I look at that almost every morning. And I really do like the bits with Sam Yark because it kind of sums up everything. And Sam has a great voice for radio and for TV for sure.
Sam's amazing, and he's crushing it with the Daily Bites.
Good.
Which again was another thing, right? Like
That part is getting good engagement as well for you guys?
Yeah, it's growing really quickly, and it's just daily insights that
Thank your dad.
you think, right? Just continue to solve little problems for the other. Oh, I want to stay informed. I don't have a lot of time. Great,
Yeah.
5-minute bites. Oh, by the way, do you want to read? Great, get it in written form. So
Right.
it's you can choose your path.
So last, if we have the time here, who's your favorite guest besides me?
So I think one of my favorite, and I say one because there's been some amazing episodes, but Fred Beans. He's like a legend, notorious.
Yeah, I've heard of this guy. Yeah.
From the PA region. He's got, I think, like 30 dealerships or so, or maybe more. But the reason that was one of my favorite episodes is because Fred was very transparent, authentic, and he spoke a lot beyond just automotive. He spoke about how he manages his wealth. He spoke about raising his family. He spoke about the values of being an American and just the youth and how kids are being raised and like parenting. And so you got a lot more in just one podcast.
It wasn't just automotive, it was inspirational and all.
But he connected it to automotive, right? And he explained how he brings it to the dealership and how he mentors, young people. I thought it was it was an incredible podcast. So that was definitely one of my favorite episodes.
Anything else you want to share here before we take off?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
I think what you're doing is incredible.
Thank you.
Obviously, it's something that we personally used at Get a Car for the entire time period as we were merchandising our vehicles, which was super important. I was very picky about it then, still very picky about all of our content and pictures now, but
Sure.
I think that you're solving a really big problem in the industry.
Thank you, man.
And again, it's really simple, right? Imagine if every dealer out there had really great merchandising, communicated their products, their value very clearly. Everyone's lives would be better. I mean, everyone would be able to buy cars faster, do it easier, enjoy the process more. So I just think it's these little things that compound and create for a better industry.
Thanks, man. Well, it's been a real pleasure having you on the stage here, and I do love doing business with you guys, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much.